Now it's time to concentrate on seafood. Our next stop is a far cry from your typical New England fish shack because one of the most talented young chefs in the country is making big waves at Fish Restaurant and Wine Bar. When you want to eat great fish, you gotta go to Fish. Located on the corner of Routes 85 and 20 in Marlborough, Mass., Fish Restaurant and Wine Bar is proof positive that fantastic food has made its way to the suburbs.
Everybody's heard the phrase, there's a million fish in the sea. There's only one Fish Restaurant and Wine Bar.
Owner George Boyatzis has spent a lifetime in the seafood business. General Manager Ian Nall is a gracious sommelier and cocktail expert, and brand new executive chef Sasha St. Germain brings a sophisticated style to the kitchen.
I have a lot of experience in fine dining cuisine, but I do a lot of rustic food. I want to make great food. I want to use a lot of local ingredients. You know, it's all about the ingredients that go onto the plate and how it looks on the plate.
Sasha's menu offers a range of beautifully composed dishes, from roasted salmon and steamed mussels to a great bacon cheddar burger and grilled smoked octopus. And from the moment you walk in the door of this surprisingly stylish modern space, you know you're in for something special, because the first thing you see is an ultra-fresh raw bar stocked with pristine oysters and clams. Start with a great product, add some experience and passion, and you have the recipe for a great restaurant.
First of all, I love to consume food. I think that's number one. I think that's where it all starts. You know, flavors, everything else, but I love the science behind the food. I love the way the food looks on the plate. I love everything about it. I love the way it grows. You know, everything about food. To be a true well-rounded chef, you should be well-versed in like the whole food scene, as opposed to just knowing how to cook.
So let's dive right into some incredible seafood dishes with the executive chef of Fish Restaurant and Wine Bar, Sasha St. Germain. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for making seafood like this, especially with seafood. It's funny that a lot of chefs don't get all that creative, but you definitely do at Fish. And I want to start with the scallops, because when I came in a couple weeks ago with my wife and kids, and we put on an eating display, the likes of which I don't think Marlborough had ever seen before, but we dove into these scallops and went to town, because there's just like layer upon layer of awesomeness going on here.
Yeah.
So what are the layers? What's happening with this dish?
So first of all, we start with a dry scallop as opposed to a wet scallop. It's not injected with anything, so the product is just better right off the bat.
And they're big, fat, juicy ones too.
They're U10s,
Yeah.
so they're quite large, which means there's about 10 of them per pound, so they're quite big. So it starts off with Romesco. Romesco is a piquillo pepper emulsion, pretty much. Piquillo peppers are roasted Spanish peppers, but
Right.
there's a garlic confit in there, roasted peppers, hazelnuts,
So that's
almonds.
the sauce along the bottom.
Exactly,
Then you're
yeah.
working up to the potatoes?
The potatoes. There's it's just fingerling potatoes. We boil them with a little bit of crown dill. Then we crush them, and then we let them sit at room temperature. That way the starch really develops.
But what about the top? That's what I love the most, of course.
Oh, the top, what's on top of the scallop?
Yeah.
That's a bacon and shallot marmalade that we do.
Exactly.
So-
Bacon and shallot marmalade.
Yeah. We slice the shallots really thin, cook them with red wine, sachet with aromatics in it, a little bit of red wine vinegar, and then we take the chopped bacon and everything else and mix it together. We take the liquid, reduce it down, and we fold it into the
Obviously,
end product.
a lot going on, not
Yeah.
your typical
Yeah,
scallop and bacon dish. Now, talk about a dish that's not typical at all. Shrimp and grits. Shrimp and grits down south is like it's almost like a peasant dish.
It's a staple.
It's
It's a
right.
staple.
I mean, it's not a big deal. You have taken this to a whole gourmet level. So tell me about your shrimp and grits.
I have family from the South.
Okay.
I have family that comes from Virginia, so it's always been close to my heart, I guess.
Yeah.
So we start with Anson Mill Grits, and Anson Mills is a company out in South Carolina. They do all these artisanal grains and grits and hominy and everything else. So
It's like the Ritz of grits.
Exactly. I mean, but they're certified organic, so amazing company.
And the shrimp itself?
The shrimp itself is U7s, and we get them out of the Carolinas or the Gulf, because that's where they're really the only place you get fresh shrimp.
And how about the egg? That thing's cool.
So it's a 6-minute egg. We boil the egg for 6 minutes, then we shock it, we cool it down in ice water, and then we take it and we bread it traditionally. So we use flour, egg wash, and then panko, which is Japanese breadcrumbs.
Yes.
And then we deep fry that. So when you actually cut open the egg, which sits on top of the grits, the yolk is still runny, so
Yeah.
that kind of gets folded into the grits.
There you go. Now, you can do lobster a bunch of different ways, of course. It's a seafood restaurant.
Right.
You got your boiled lobster, your baked stuff. You can get your lazy mans. But you're doing a lobster pasta, which is delicious. So what's going on to this?
So, first of all, there's a whole lobster in the pasta. It's in-house made cavatelli. So we make the dough in-house. We cook it off every single day to order. And it's served with oyster mushrooms, kale, beurre fondue, which is an emulsified butter sauce, Parmesan cheese, and then it gets a dollop of fresh whipped ricotta over the top.
I love it. You have like that freshness from stuff like the oysters and the kale, but just loaded with some nice butter and, of course, the buttery lobster. Perfect combination right there. Now, you can get traditional seafood dishes, too. Now, like fried clams, one of my all-time favorite foods. I'm used to eating them out of a cardboard box sitting by the beach. I'm not used to getting it on like a beautiful porcelain plate at a white tablecloth restaurant, but you guys are doing them. So like, how do you make sure that these are up to the level of everything else you're doing there?
Well, when you go traditional or when you go classic, I mean, there's a reason why they're classics. There's a reason why they're traditional. They work that way. So we didn't want to go too far off that. So we do whole-bellied fresh Ipswich clams.
Yep.
And we fry those, but we soak them in buttermilk, and then we have a flour mixture with Old Bay seasoning, salt, pepper, and then we flash fry them really, really quickly, and then we serve them over a rustic tartar sauce.
Yeah, and even the fact you guys make your own tartar sauce, or on a restaurant,
you have to.
on a lot of restaurants doing that. Now, let's get to dessert, because we
Shoot.
came in here, usually me, my wife, we just want something chocolate and with a little something sweet.
Right.
You told me, save room for dessert, because I got something you're going to really like.
You gotta save room
And
for
you
dessert.
came out, and I smelled this beautiful aroma, and you said to me, these are beignets.
Right, but I wanted to do beignets in a different sense. Beignets is a fried dough, pretty much French for fried dough.
Yeah.
But I wanted to incorporate something savory into the dish, so I decided that bacon was the best way to go. I mean, fried dough and bacon, I mean, that just
Bacon
seems like common
beignet.
sense, you know? So when we make a bacon caramel, we take bacon, and we take maple syrup, actually, because, you know, it's fall,
Right.
winter,
Yeah.
those are the flavors you're looking for.
Sure.
And we cook that down, make a caramel with it, and then we take the bacon beignets, fry them up, and then we make a cinnamon sugar dust, but I also put bacon powder into that. So I chop up bacon
goodness.
really, really fine, and I dry it out. That way it's almost like sugar.
This thing, like, it melted on my mouth like just a smoky, delicious cloud. And I was so happy because I ate at Fish Restaurant and Wine Bar. You got to check it out. 29 South Bolton Street in Marlborough. The website is eatatfish.com.